Welcome back to Angels and Bob's Factorio, and it's time for a quick correction by a chap called Dino who wrote in regarding one of the previous videos, and well spotted. I am very impressed. What he spotted was, let me just choose something else, that I'd built too many crushers. I'd assume because each of these crushers produce 2 ores in each cycle, and that these take 4 in each cycle, that I could just build 2 crushers to equal one ore sorting facility. However, the crushers are twice as fast, so one will do just fine, as is happening right here, and you'll see we've already filled in, you know, 1/2 of this line. So if you want to make this good again, we just have to do this, and let's copy you across. There we go. Yeah, so we're back on both sides of the line. So, yes, I only need 1. So I don't need all of these other inserters. Certainly not inserting onto the ground, which they will do quite happily if you don't change them. And I'll need half the machines producing the stone. However, now that we've removed those, we sort of have a gap. And it'd be nice to be able to fill that gap with something else, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, even? So, what are we going to do with that? We're going to move up the progression for ores. And there's some more refining. Just build me those. That's fine. What's the progression? Well, there is the tech progression, where it goes up from ore sorting facility Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, etc. That needs more and more higher tech ingredients. But there's also a recipe progression. If I click in here and change the recipe, you'll see there's many more recipes now, just as a natural course of us researching ore stuff in the research tree. We have our original recipe, which takes 4 crushed sapphirite every 1 second, but there's also another recipe. It takes 6 sapphirite chunks every 1.5 seconds. That, in turn, produces lots of the materials. It produces all of our original materials, but also produces 1 silicon and 1 nickel. Now, if you want nickel or more easily, you can get it from rubyite. So you can put down the same kind of setup we got here over here, and it will give you lead and nickel. I haven't really needed that much apart from the solder, so I just use the lead for that with a very simple setup. However, we can extend this setup here. So what was that again? Let me just double check. So it needs 6 sapphirite chunks every 1.5 seconds. That's still 4 every second. Okay. So we can grab a new machine. Where did I put it? I think I put it somewhere. Yep, there we go. Flotation Cell. We can choose this. Now this, every 2 seconds, it takes in 2 crushed sapphirite and some purified water. We'll get to the water in a minute, and produces 2 chunks. So that's 1 chunk every second, and we're going to need 4. So for each of these sorters, well, hang on, what's the crafting speed? 0.75. Okay, and these are 0.75. Okay, so this is Mark 1. I'm already on Mark 2 ore sorting facilities, and this is now crafting speed of 1. They're still half the crafting speed of the crushers, but these are still a Mark 1. So if you stay with Mark 1, everything will be balanced. But bear in mind, if I'm feeding into a Mark 2, these will be too slow as yet. They won't be full speed. But aside from that, we can actually build them, even though they're a bit slow. And I'm going to just put 3 on build. To feed them, we're going to need, obviously, this crushed sapphirite, in this case. And then we're going to need purified water. What's purified water? Well, it's just condensed steam. So, we're going to need steam from somewhere, which means we're going to need steam engines. And we have sort of been waiting for those for some time. That is electric motors, which means I'm short on copper, I think. Yeah, I am short on copper. And we're also going to need boilers. Now, we do have a water source down there at the bottom left, but we're going to need to go and probably feed... We can feed the boilers with carbon. As you can see, everything's pretty much carbon now at the moment. Assuming that this process doesn't need actual coke. Are they happy with carbon? Or are they not happy with carbon? They seem to be happy with carbon. Yeah, so that's all fine. Okay, so we need to go and get those boilers, which means I need to go and load up with some copper, which is trivial. We have a backlog of each of those. One of the other recipes I wanted to actually cover as well, while we're at it, is, again, in that ore sorting machine. If you have Givelite nearby, I know that sounds weird, but if my closest amount is up here, Givelite ore, one of the other recipes is to combine Saphirite and Givelite, and it gives you iron ore and nothing but iron ore. Remember when I was talking about that problem at the end of the last episode where I can't really separate these completely because if one backs up, even with a large buffer, it will stop the other one from being produced? Yes, technically you could use a different patch to sort of get independence that way, but you can actually combine this into something else. So if I just grab you for a second, and that's the wrong recipe, so it's not working at the moment, but if we go along here, you'll see here, so 2 crushed Saphirite, 2 crushed Givelite, and a mineral catalyst, and we'll get iron ore and only iron ore out of it. So it's the same for all these recipes all along here. If you just want one output from an ore sorter, you can do it. You just have to feed in different results, different ingredients, I should say. So actually, what was the other bit for that? Do I have the mineral catalyst? Can I actually make that yet? Looks like I can, but I need mineral sludge. Let's take a look at what that mineral catalyst. Nope, you don't like it. Sludge? Mineral sludge? Yeah, okay, so we can put that through a crystallizer to get the ores. But how do we get mineral sludge? That takes slag slurry, which sounds promising because we have an awful lot of amount of slag at the moment. Okay, and we can get that, I assume, from just slag. We can with some sulfuric acid, so we will get there fairly soon. The reason I say that is one of the byproducts of what we're about to build with the flotation units is a sort of sulfuric acid. I'm not sure if it's directly sulfuric acid. Let's just see what the output is. It produces... it's like sulfuric wastewater, which we then need to refine into sulfur and then something else. So we can actually do it. But to start with, we're going to need a source of carbon. Carbon itself would be fine. And how about some boilers? So let's just build 6 boilers. We don't know how many we need just yet. We'll work at the ratios later. And we're also going to need some way of cooling the steam. So, short of a huge distillation setup, we can create a good cooling tower, which of course we need the basic electronic boards for, and we needed the clay bricks for. So that's why we had to actually do those first. And it doesn't say how quickly you can process. Well, it says what the crafting speed is, but I just want to see what the recipes are first. So let's get a water line going. That seems fine. We'll figure it out otherwise if not. And pipe. Hopefully I have enough stone pipe work to do this. Cooling tower. Cool. Let's just grab this. There we go. So if we put in our boilers, where are they? Boilers? Oh, I can't filter my inventory. That is coming in a future version, I believe. I'll be so happy once you can do that. In fact, I know I want this one further over, don't I? Yeah. I'm going to need to insert the carbon somewhere, so we need some pipe work. There we go. Let's move it 3 over, actually. Something like that should do, and then we can then go this way. My boilers again. Usually we put steam engines off these, but maybe not in this case. It's inserted some coal, so they're already getting steam produced. You can see at the bottom right, it's off the screen a little bit, just because of the UI size, but it is producing steam, you can believe me. And then we want to take that and... Why can't you just make the models so they fit? And it's one as well. I can't get them... Okay, so if we can't get them that way, let me just see what this takes. All right, so purified water every 2 seconds produces 100 steam. I'm not sure what the rate of steam is, but let's assume for a second we can just put pipework in. If I can't make it symmetric at all, then I will just give up trying to. And we'll see how many we actually need to produce. Oops. There we go. And it's going to need some power. And then we're going to need to feed in some carbon, which if we have a splitter, we should be able to feed in. And then I guess we can even use burner inserters for this. We don't need any electric inserters, just in case the power goes out. We're not too concerned about the pollution, but if you are playing with biters or something, you can definitely use, obviously, the inserters of your choice, like the electric ones. That will do the job. So those are going to produce steam. You are going to change steam into purified water. And then with the purified water, we can do whatever we like. In this case, we're going to start, and obviously we'll rebalance this later. We're going to start by pushing it into the flotation cells. I'm going to need a supply of crushed ore, however. So I'm going to have to probably put a new line in somewhere and rearrange this. For now, just to demonstrate it, I will just put a line out this way. And we're going to take this, change its recipe to this, and you will do. There we go. So yes, obviously it's not going to be anywhere near enough just yet, but I just want to prove the concept. And where's my flotation cells gone? Flotation cells, there they are. So we're going to need the input of, one off. I've not got a gap between the belt and, oh wow, you're, yeah. I don't want you to pull out crushed stone, so you are going to have to be filtered. Because, yeah, this would only take the actual, the ore, but now it won't. So let's just take crushed. There we go. That's fine. All right, where was I? Yes, let's put in these here then. And can we feed them in and back out? I wonder. Or maybe we better space this out a little bit. Just in case. There we go, and who knows what we can do with the power poles. I guess, well, let's just space them out so we can put the power poles in, shall we? There we go. So, one there. As long as we leave a gap of one, that should do fine. There we go, and then we can feed. We want what regular pipe, don't we? Let's just make more of it. Okay, regular pipe. And then we can just... I'm going to need to go over and under to actually feed this in with the underground pipe. Oh, you can't do the same thing as the underground belt. That's annoying. Would have been a nice shortcut, but okay. We'll do whatever we can. Just because I'm going to need to insert ore, and I'm probably going to want to insert it onto this side. Which means I want my belt coming up this way. Go underground just for one. Feed it all the way up here. As far as we want. Here in this case. And then we can just feed it in. And we can go to fast inserters easily enough. Put the power poles in. And should we be... Well, are we going to be ready? Let's change this recipe. and connect everything up. Now, out of this, we're going to get the sulfuric water, so we're going to need more pipe to grounds. Let's just make 5 of them and then more pipe. And then we're going to need to feed out the result of this back over to here, of course. So we're going to need another belt. And what are you actually producing? Anything else? You're going to produce the liquid, but they're going to produce 2 things. You're going to produce the what are they called? Geodes? Geodes? Yeah, so we're going to need to dispose of the geodes as well. Or at least for the moment, we'll dispose of them. Keep them somewhere in a warehouse or something along those lines. So again, let's just put in filter inserters. And tell it we want sapphirite chunks. And there we go. We can just put that in. Let's have a couple more. Oops, one's there. Okay, and then finally, just our pipe to ground. In the wrong place. Always in the wrong place. That's fine. There it goes. So I want to put that filter inserter back. There we go, just so they're all in the same place. And then we also want the geodes. How are we going to get the geodes out? Okay, so there are 2 ways out of this problem. It depends whether you want to stay vanilla-ish or if you want to go with full angels and bobs stuff. If you want to go vanilla-ish, if you take a look at what blue geodes can be made into, it's crystal slurry, and that needs geoprocessing too. And just chemical plants or liquefiers, something like that. So you could direct insert, and thereby you can just put any inserter, you know, down wherever. You could put, you know, one of these long-headed inserters and grab and put over here. And because it would only have 1 recipe in it, you could just direct insert into those kind of things. That's certainly possible. Just to demonstrate, though, you can do this a little bit differently. If I put in a filter inserter here for a second, sorry, here, this is 5 by 5, so you've got enough space, and put some power in. If I, instead of going for the chunks, I choose the geode. Okay. You'll notice it just puts it here, and it has nowhere else to go. That's because filter inserters aren't long-handed inserters, so they can't actually push it over 1 more. So you could try and, I forget what the name of it, braid the belt, so you'd have them going over and under each other in the opposite direction or something along those lines. But if you didn't want to go vanilla, you could shift E on the filter inserter, and you could say, what do you want to pick up from? So from here, I want to output it to here, so they can reach over and put it on the belt. Cool feature. I definitely like it. I'm going to use that myself just in this playthrough because it is an Angels and Bobs playthrough. And we should be able to copy and paste that, hopefully. Yeah, we can. And as you'll see, you can basically have filter inserters working over 2 belts. Cool little feature. But if you didn't want to do that, you could just put down, for argument's sake, you could put in, let me just take this top one off just so you get the idea. We could do something like this sort of lines, and then have the belt sort of going underneath this. If we just do it something like, you get the idea, that kind of thing. And then we could just use a regular inserter and choose blue geoprocessing. This would work, and then you could feed on this side to something else. In this case, the things that come out of it are it's like a rainbow dust or something. What's it called? Crystal dust. Yeah, so rainbow dust? Yeah, probably some kind of drug. Let's not go there. But the only use for that is to turn it into crystal slurry anyway. So you get Out of 10, you get 50. What do you get if we just go direct? Out of 5... Oh, hang on. Let me just double check. Hang on. So 2 blue geodust gets us 1 crystal dust. So it's going to take 20 blue geodes to get us to 50 of those. And if we go back... Yeah, so this one actually produces more. So if we multiply it by 4, we get 80 crystal slurry. And crystal slurry is useful because we can then use that to make other things. In particular, we can make sulfuric wastewater. If we keep going through the recipes, I think there's some really good stuff in here, if I remember rightly. Yeah, there's the mineral sludge. And the mineral sludge that we can then turn that into ores, or, well, various kinds of ores. Or the mineral catalysts, which we can use to get pure ores. So, yeah, it's pretty good all around. For now, however, I think I'm just going to go with the super cool sort of long-handed inserter filters, which is pretty good. And then we can just leave these until we have space for them. I can just put in a warehouse somewhere up here. Do I have warehouse spare? I do have warehouse spare. Let's just put you here and get some power. And then just some inserters. Well, 1 will do. It's not going to need that many. Or maybe I should actually just put a power wall in there. Okay, so we're going to get blue geodes. We're going to get crushed. Not crushed. Sulfurite chunks. So now I need to rearrange this. And because it's regular Factorio stuff, I'm not going to do that on camera. I'm just going to cut forward. Okay, so here's how it goes if I've got the ratios right. It's just one of these, a Mark 1 version, it's not even a Mark 2. He's going to need 4 of these. Let's just show you why. Just 1 second, if I've not already shown you. So this produces... there we go. 2 every 1 second. 2 crushed ore every 1 second. Fair enough. This consumes 2 crushed sapphirite every 2 seconds. But remember, this is quite slow. So instead of being 1 of those to 2 of these, it's 1 of those to 4 of these. So the output of this is going to be the chunks, 2 every 2 seconds, and there's 4, so 8 every 2 seconds, or 4 every 1 second. And then this will take 4 every 1 second, or 6 every 1.5 seconds. Again, assuming that all, well, this is a Mark 2, so it's going to be slightly faster. If this is a Mark 1, I could put it here, for instance. No problem. And that will be fine. 0.75, 0.75, so these two are equal. And then one of these is actually pretty good. It produces up to 4 of those. So if we start this up then, I think all we actually need to do is tank up this sulfuric wastewater. I think I made some tanks. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay, I'm just going to tank it up for now. Later we'll figure out what we need to do otherwise. Got a tree in the way. There we go. If my iron and copper production run completely stops, I'll know why. I filled up those tanks. So they're now going to feed into here. That's going to process. And out of it will come 5 different things. Slag, iron, copper, nickel, and silicon. So out of here, obviously we'll flow our existing lines. We've got slag up here, iron and copper. It's not terribly fast, to be fair. So I'm going to definitely need to set up more of those, which is probably going to mean I'm going to need to do something between the episodes with these belts. If you know of a good way of setting up 5 outputs from the same machine, do let me know, because it can be a little bit tricky. Just because if we need to cross over, a reason why, let me just pop down another one of these. So if I wanted to put one here, for instance, I couldn't exactly do this setup. I could probably, I don't go something like here with these, just for argument's sake. So I could gain some space, and I could reverse the order of these first 2. And then again, feed onto the lines, this kind of way. But then it doesn't quite work out. I mean, what we have to sort of do is have the iron and the copper go over the top and back round. So I'm going to do that all off camera. I'm sure you don't want to watch me do that, hopefully anyway. So I can remove a lot of this earlier setup we had from this ore crushers. And then what I'll need to do, unfortunately, is have these flotation cells, and a lot of them, up this direction, or maybe a block of them. Haven't quite decided yet. We'll see what we get to in the next episode. And as you can see, it's perfectly possible to do this. It's just not very aesthetically pleasing. Is that the best word? We've got the nickel and the silicon going up on these two lanes, and I've got this one being the extendable version, which drops it onto the second lane. Slag just runs straight out the middle, and then similar things with the iron and copper. So we are getting iron and copper out of here. But as I said, this is far too many ore sorters for just 4 of these. We're going to need a lot more than 4. Why have you stopped at the bottom? Is it because I've deselected the recipe? It is. Okay, so 4 of these just for 1 of these. Even the level 1 versions, let alone the level 2 versions. So I'm going to need to put a lot more of these in play. And we may need more tank storage or more ways to get rid of this sulfuric wastewater. We could void it. Let's just take a look at what we can do with sulfuric wastewater. Sulfuric. Sulfuric acid. No, I want sulfuric wastewater, and you're not going to show me on here. So let me just look at sulfur then, because that's one of the ways to make it. I think. Yeah, so there we go. For some reason I can't search for sulfuric wastewater. Anyway, sulfuric wastewater, what can we do with it? Well, we could put it in a water void. That would certainly get rid of it for the moment. We can barrel it up. We can put it in a warehouse or something along those lines. We can produce it already straight away in a hydro plant, which will get us more purified water out, which we could then feed back round along with mineralized water. That's a possibility. Get blue algae out of it, but we need carbon dioxide for that. So the only thing we can really do without doing carbon dioxide, which you get from coal or carbon, etc., but we don't need to just yet, is this recipe from a hydro plant. Now, can I make a hydro plant already? I can. I just need 1 stone brick. Okay, that sounds about right. And we can even make a hydro. Oh no, we can't. There's no way I can make aluminium plates or electronic circuit boards. They're the next level of circuit boards up after basic electronic boards. They're much more of a pain to actually make. So yeah, we will begin that for a little while. So there's the hydro plant. And are you in my inventory already? Oh no, you're not finished yet. You're gonna have to make some pipe. So the outputs from that we're going to feed back in probably into this main line here. And then we're going to get mineralized water, and we'll probably just tank that up for now. Nearly finished with the construction. So maybe 1 here. Depends how many of these hydro plants we're going to need. Hopefully not too many. Okay, so here's a simple setup. We've got a water plant, or hydro plant. Not sure of the ratios yet. I'll figure those out between the episodes. Not too bothered about it at the moment, just by using up some sulfuric wastewater anyway. That's what I mainly want. So we're feeding that into the hydro plant. Hydro plant is feeding out purified water. Now this is building up. So if it builds up and fills this tank is feeding into the rest of the systems. It's looping back around, which would be ideal unless it actually, unless it fills this, which then might stop this. So do I have any valves yet? Okay, still keep accessing it. Valve, no. I want to research the one-way valves. Can I do it in here? Fluid control. Non-return valve, one directional flow, and it's trivial to actually do, so I'm going to research that. So yeah, I will put a one-way valve in here, I think, to make sure that doesn't flow backwards. This will fill and then empty only in this direction. Makes sense. If not, we can also build a clarifier, which is a water void essentially. So we could just drop that below here and it would get rid of all of this purified water that we don't really need because we're getting it a lot of it from a couple of boilers down here. On the other side of things, we're getting mineralized water, so this is going to be used later. So we definitely want to store it. And we're also pulling out sulfur, which we'll probably make into sulfuric acid, I imagine. Sulfuric. See what we can make with sulfur. Sulfur dioxide gas. Sulfuric acid. Just with some iron and purified water. So that seems to be quite an easy way of getting sulfuric acid. So porting it around as sulfur, iron only and purified water just comes from steam. So it seems to be a very simple way of getting that once I have the sulfur processing tech. Which shouldn't be very far. Sulfur? Oh, I've already got sulfur processing 1. What did that need then? Is this a disallowed tech? Could be. Okay, so can we convert it via sulfur dioxide? Sulfur dioxide into sulfur dioxide into, yeah, so into sulfuric acid. We can do it that way. That's no real problem. We'll just go through an extra step. No big deal. But we'll get to what we use sulfuric acid for later. For the moment, I'm just going to box it, and probably with a lot of other stuff as well. These are running now with iron and copper, which is what I wanted, but of course we're not producing enough for that, so I'll fix that between the episodes. Hope you enjoyed this one. It's been an interesting one for, first of all, adjusting ratios, changing up to the next stage of ore processing, which is it's going to take a lot more room than I expected, but that's okay. So for 4 of these, as I previously had, I'm going to need 16 of these. Yes, and I think I can just deal with those 4 of these again. Maybe a way to get them to look nicer, I could probably just reverse the flow of this line, move these crushers over here, something like that, and then feed them into each batch of 4 or something along those lines. But I don't need to worry about it just yet. We'll get onto that in coming episodes or between episodes. So we hope you enjoyed this one. Feel free to thumbs up as normal. Subscribe and share if you haven't already. And if you've got any comments, I'm getting lots of nice comments about Factorio, Angels and Bobs. People giving me useful advice like that Shift E on inserters to basically choose where you want to pick up and drop off from. And that isn't actually limited, by the way, just to straight up and down. We can, if I just pop this here for example, we can tell it, I actually want you to pick up from here, but drop here. So it will go into a right angle, which enables some other nice layouts. So thanks a lot for those comments. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.